everybody, welcome to today's video where we will be continuing the Harry Potter series. Now, if you haven't seen the last video, I read the first 3 books of the Harry Potter series and I watched the first 3 movies. So I would recommend watching that video first, considering you're gonna understand the progression of how I'm feeling, you know? If you are new to this channel, my name is Emily. If you are not new, my name is Emily. This video is going to be pretty interesting. I haven't read any of them. When I was younger, I tried to read the first book and did not like it. Don't ask me why. I was like 12, okay? But I have seen the first 3 movies before. So it was kind of like, I know what I'm expecting. I have not read or watched any of the next ones. So from the 4th book to the 7th book, and the 8th movie, I haven't read or watched any of them. So it's a lot more exciting and intriguing because I have no clue what's going to happen. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for following along with me on this Harry Potter journey. I have been enjoying it so far. Hey guys, how's it going? It has been quite some time since I last read, well, anything, but especially Harry Potter. I haven't read in probably 3 weeks, so I apologize because I know that some of you have been waiting for this video to come out, and I'm getting there, okay? I'm reading it. I've read for like an hour today, and we're going to read for hopefully a few more hours tonight and definitely some more tomorrow. And I'm really enjoying the book so far. So, as you know, we are reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is the 4th book. This is the 4th book. The 4th book in the Harry Potter series. And I'm loving it so far. As you may remember from, if you've watched the last video, if you'll know that in the 2nd and 3rd book, I kind of complained about the lack of comedic relief because those 2 books were very miserable. And I still enjoyed them. I still gave both of them high ratings. And the 3rd book has been my favorite book out of the 3 that I've read so far. But this book has so much comedic relief already, and hang on, page 81 is the page I'm about to start. And there's so much comedic relief because the Weasleys are involved. Almost all of the books so far has been Harry with the Weasleys and Hermione. And their lifestyle is so interesting and fun, and it's funny to see Mr. Weasley try to figure out Muggle money and Fred and George's tricks and like the things that they're making, trying to sell at Hogwarts. Very exciting, and I'm very excited to see what happens because they're about to watch the Quidditch World Cup. That's where they're at right now. I don't have any complaints. I mean, I'm not even 100 pages into the book, so I shouldn't have any complaints. It feels like it's reading fast. It's fast. It's not necessarily fast-paced, but it's good. Things are happening, and I'm excited about what's going to happen. So, I'm really, really liking it. So, I wanted to give a little bit of a reading update because I don't remember the last time I actually sat down and talked to you guys about how I'm feeling about this book. I'm on chapter 9. I'm really enjoying it so far. We just got to the part in the book where we're at the Quidditch World Cup, and I think it was the Dementors were like flying around because it said that they were like people in hoods, which is the same way they described the Dementors in the last book, but it said they were flying around, and then Harry, Ron, and Hermione were in this forest, like, running away, and then all of a sudden, this, like, bright green light and shape kind of formed, and they heard someone say something, and, Ron's like, Harry, we need to go, it's the Dark Mark, and then the Ministry Wizards, like, came up to Harry, Ron, and Hermione and were like, who just cast the Dark Mark? Like, which one of you did this? And they're like, no, it came from over there. And then they look, and it's this tiny little house elf, like Dobby, but a girl. I don't remember her name. Winky. Her name is Winky. They're kind of like, but how can a house elf conjure up this huge dark mark? You know? Unless maybe it's Voldemort's house elf? I don't think Voldemort really has a house. Like, wouldn't he just be, like, sent to the little prison? So, right now they're trying to figure out who conjured this dark mark. Because probably it wasn't Winky. Oh, it's Mr. Crouch's house elf. And he is one of the Ministry Wizards. Oh, right. And Harry lost his wand in all of this, and Winky has it. So, like, Winky stole Harry's wand to cast the spell? So, some things that have happened since we last spoke. Mad-Eye Moody is their teacher, but he used to be like someone who dealt with the dark arts, so he's obviously crazy because of all of the things that he's seen in his life. So his teaching is very unordinary, and I love it. Because he doesn't care who you are. If you do something wrong, or if you're rude to people or whatever it is, he's gonna punish you for that in whatever way he feels the need. Like when he turned Malfoy into a possum. Absolutely amazing. Okay? I'm currently at the part where the festival thing has just started. Wait, hang on. I don't remember what it's called. The Triwizard Tournament? That's definitely what it's called. So, these two other schools, and remember, if you watched the last video, I was wondering, like, if we're ever going to see other schools, because it always talks about how Hogwarts is the best wizardry school, but it never talked about any other ones until this book. And so now we have two schools from other places coming to Hogwarts for the Triwizard Tournament, but they are so unusual. One of them has like the world's best guy that flies in the air and catches the little golden ball. The Snitch. Seeker, the world's best seeker, Victor Crumb. And the other school, there's this girl that's super, super pretty, and Ron is in love with her. But the part that I finished, I'm literally 3 pages into chapter 17 because I was so tired. I just got to the part where the Goblet of Fire shot out a 4th paper, which obviously said Harry Potter. So it's no longer the Triwizard Tournament. So I'm super, super, super excited to see what happens. I'm going to keep reading. There's still nothing that I don't like about this book, except for the fact that Hermione is just like, she's just stuck on house elves, and like, nobody cares, girl. What just happened in this book, chapter 19, I guess, Sirius came to Hogwarts, but not like physically, like, you know, I don't know if you know, but like people's heads can pop up in the fire and you can like talk to them that way. I don't know. This is the second time that it's happened in the series and this book. But yeah, Sirius came to talk to Harry Potter, and he said that one of the people that Harry is going to compete against, or like his teacher, is a Death Eater. Apparently, Karkaroff is the guy's name, I think. He was a Death Eater, and Mad-Eye Moody put him in Azkaban. But then, like, he did some sketchy deal, like Karkaroff did some sketchy deal with the magic people and got out. And now he's trying to possibly kill Harry Potter. And they think, like, maybe Karkaroff is working with Voldemort to kill Harry Potter. And that's who got Harry into the tournament. What is it called? The Triwizard Tournament. Hey guys, I'm going to do a little update. I think that I kind of updated you recently. I think I mentioned that Ron and Harry are friends now because that was hella annoying when they weren't. Like, I get that it's a conflict in the story, but we don't need this drama. So the second thing, what is it called? Event? Test in the Triwizard Tournament just happened, and it was, Harry had to, there was like, a riddle that they found in the egg that Harry got from the dragon in the first test, and there was a riddle that said, like, we have something that you want, and, like, within the hour you need to take it back or they'll die. So that's obviously not what the riddle was, but you get the point. And then he had the mermaids that were in the lake outside the school took Ron. So Harry had to, like, go underwater, so he had to, like, find a spell or something that would help him breathe underwater because he's a human being. And Dobby gave him, like, this gillyweed or dillyweed or something that it was called. And then that made him, like, have gills, so he could be, like, in the water, and, like, it made him have fin and everything. That part was very interesting. And, like, he got 3rd place in that test because he wanted to save everyone. Because he thought that they were actually gonna die. But then everyone was like, are you dumb? Like, why would Dumbledore let them die? They're not even part of the test. And then he was like, oh, I'm stupid. But, like, I don't know, like, I think that was weird because why wouldn't you think that they were gonna die? Because people have died before in the Triwizard Tournament, and yeah, it wasn't people who, like, aren't in the tournament. But still, like, I don't think that's really, like, on Harry for not thinking that. I do think that they're, like, I feel like it was rushed, the second test. Because, you know, like, when I don't know if you've read any of the Harry Potter books, obviously, but if you have, what you should have, if you're watching these videos for starters, because, spoilers, but in the other books, when the author's describing, like, a Quidditch match, you know, like, where everyone is, everyone that's playing, sometimes even people in the stands, you know, like, which direction they're going, where the snitch is, like, where all the bludgers are and everything like that. But in these tests, it's kind of like, oh, Harry swooped down and got the egg. Or, Harry ran into these he ran into these mermaids with these spears, and he tried to convince them to let him take everyone, and then he just took Ron and the other girl and left. Like, I don't know. I want more detail. Like, I don't know, but I do feel bad for Harry because he got 3rd place. But he did get the most points, I think. Because he's noble, because he wanted to save everyone. And right now, they're trying to figure out how Rita Skeeter, who is that her name? That's a crazy name. Okay, anyway, they're trying to figure out, like, why Rita Skeeter wrote this thing in the newspaper about Hermione and Victor Krum, like about their private conversation that they had. So now they're trying to figure out how Rita Skeeter knows, like, what they're saying. Like, if she has an invisibility cloak, or like maybe someone like is in the thing telling her everything. Like maybe someone in the school is telling her stuff, but I don't know. It seems weird. It's definitely interesting, but I hope it actually goes somewhere, you know? Like, I want there to be a point to it. Like, I want Rita Skeeter to be, like, booted out of the freaking newspaper industry, you know what I mean? I don't want it to be like, oh, and then in the next book she's just writing more bad things about people, like. So what's the point? Like, I get that it's interesting, but still. But I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it so far. I just hope that we get more details further on, and I hope Harry wins. Like, I'm sure he's gonna win, because what the heck would this book be if he didn't win the tournament? But I hope he wins, you know? Okay, that's all I have to say. I hope you can hear me right now. It's literally, it's 12:30 a.m. and I'm just reading Harry Potter. I'm on chapter 30 of The Goblet of Fire, and Harry just fell into silver liquid, and it's a room. I'm sorry, like, let me just read this to you. The silvery light was coming from the basin's contents, which were like nothing Harry had ever seen before. He could not tell whether the substance was liquid or gas. It was a bright whitish silver, and it was moving ceaselessly. The surface became ruffled like water beneath wind, and then, like clouds, separated and swirled smoothly. And then he, like, bent forwards into it, and his nose touched it, and then, like, the whole room he was in, which was Dumbledore's office, started to shake, and then he fell into the liquid, and it's this room. And he turns, and he realizes he's sitting next to Dumbledore. And then he's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, like, I didn't mean to fall into this puddle of liquid. And then Dumbledore doesn't say anything. And then he's like, the only other time I've been somewhere where I was in a room where nobody could hear me was when I fell into the diary of someone's, like, memories of the past. He says, and unless he was very much mistaken, something of the sort had happened again. So I just have to give a little update because that's crazy. I was not expecting this to happen, but I'm liking it. I have 2 hours and 32 minutes left of the book, and I'm ready. I'm ready for some stuff to start happening because so far it's been pretty slow. Hey guys, so as you can tell, we're in a different spot than usual. I am currently puppy sitting for my grandparents. She's on the ground right here eating her bone, so if you hear like chewy noises, I apologize. Hey Bailey? Anyway, so I've been reading all morning. It's 9:06 a.m. So I've been reading for about an hour and a half-ish. I am 83% through the book on my Kindle, and I'm really, really liking it. I don't know if it's my mood or the book itself, but it just doesn't seem as exciting as the other books in the series so far. Like, I'm not, like, dying to know who wins this tournament, because obviously it's Harry, right? Like, if Harry doesn't win, the heck is this series, you know? I don't know. Like, he needs to defy the odds and, like, win, because some random person or someone, maybe not random, put his name into the Goblet of Fire, you know? I also feel like that part of it, like the part where Sirius and Dumbledore and Harry kind of were trying to figure out like, who put Harry's name into the Goblet of Fire, because they want to know, like, who's trying to get Harry killed. Like, nobody's focusing on that anymore. Really. Like, they're focusing on, like, Mr. Crouch because he's going crazy, and Bagman. I don't know if it's, like, Professor Bagman or something. I don't really remember his full name at the moment. But, like, he's being super weird and sus. Like, he's like, oh, Harry, do you want me to tell you how to win? Like, no. I am wondering, if you know the answer to this question, please let me know. When your Kindle says you have an hour and 49 minutes left, is that based on, like, my average reading time? Or is it based on the average reading time of this book? Or the average reading time of people in general? Because also, like, it says an hour and 49 minutes left right now, and the time just changed, and it didn't go down to an hour and 48 minutes, you know what I mean? Krum, I think that's his name, right? Yeah, the guy who took Hermione to the ball dance thing, he's a dick. Like, he just tried to kill Cedric? I don't actually know how to say his name. I've been saying Cedric in my brain, but that sounds weird. I finally finished it. It actually took me an hour and 53 minutes to read the last little bit that said it was an hour and 49 minutes, so I don't even know what to make of that. I'm gonna let my thoughts think, and then I will watch the movie, and then I will give my reviews. Let's talk about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I just watched the movie. I just need water so bad. Hold on. Okay. Drink your water. For this book, I'm going to rate it a 4-star out of 5. And the movie, I'm going to rate... I'm debating between a 3 and a 3.5. I guess I could just do 3.25, but that doesn't feel right. Let me explain why. As you may remember, when I first started reading this book, I was really, really enjoying it because the first almost 100 pages was Harry Potter in the Weasley house. And Fred and George were, like, making their, I don't remember what they're called, their toys and stuff. And, like, goofing off, and, like, all of these funny things were happening. And none of that happened in the movie. None of that. I think throughout the whole movie, there was one scene when Fred and George were trying to sell stuff. And, like, that, like, it wasn't a big part of the plot in this book, but it was, like, a subplot, and I was interested in it, you know? Because it was, like, showing where the boys were gonna be in the future, like, what they wanted to do with their lives and stuff. So there's that. I really feel like that brought down the movie for me a lot because I enjoyed that part so much in this book. Like, that is what made this book a 4-star. If it didn't have that, 3.5, okay? I was missing that in the movie. Also, drama, I guess, around Hermione is about the house elves. And what is that, the house elf's name? Winky. Winky is her name. Winky is Mr. Crouch's house elf servant. And Hermione's, like, trying to save, essentially, all of these house elves because she's like, this is enslavement, like, they're working without pay, blah, 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 blah. None of that happens. There's no Winky, no Dobby. Literally, so I don't know what you just recorded, so I'm going to just repeat it just in case. I really enjoyed the details that were put into the actual tests in the movie. Like when Harry was trying to get the dragon's egg. The dragon was lighting the whole place up with fire and, like, whipping Harry with his tail. And, like, Harry could have died. But I wasn't getting the the sense that this was real danger in the book. I felt like Harry just got up on his broomstick, got the egg, and got out. But we really got a sense of danger in the movie, and I liked that. Same with the part where Harry had to go find Ron underwater. Having the mer people there, and like the way they spoke, scary. I loved it. It's a big savior, right? And all of these things. Like, I find that that's the theme of the book, is that Harry is a good guy. He wants to save everyone. You know, he's really a people pleaser. Because he told Cedric Diggory about the dragons. Then he tried to save all of the people underwater when he really only needed to get Ron. And he saved Cedric Diggory again during the third test in the maze. And I like that, I guess. I don't know how I feel about Harry being a people pleaser. I think the accuracy of what happens, the whole thing with Voldemort at the end of the story, in the book and the movie, it was so accurately represented. Like, when Cedric died, and then Wormtail, like, was, like, dying on the ground, you know? And then all of the other Death Eaters came, and, like, that was so accurate. And that's how I was picturing it in my head when Voldemort and Harry were battling, like, with the two beams of light coming together, and then all of the people were coming out of Voldemort's wand and, like, showing Harry, like, we can help you, like, you have to go now. That's exactly what I was picturing, and I loved it. I loved the acting. Harry's acting, when Dan's acting, I guess, when Cedric died and he brought him back to the game, like he brought him back to Hogwarts, was so good. Like, he really seemed devastated. Like, this guy's dead. I liked the acting, okay? One thing I also wanted to mention was that I like the subtle hints that it was giving throughout the movie. Like, we see Mad-Eye Moody drinking his Polyjuice potion. We didn't know it was Polyjuice potion, but now we do. Because Mad-Eye Moody, throughout the whole story, wasn't actually him. It was Marty Crouch Jr., like the son of Mr. Crouch's, pretending to be Mad-Eye Moody. He's drinking the Polyjuice potion to look like Mad-Eye Moody so he can enter Harry in the Goblet of Fire, so he can essentially get Harry to win this whole tournament and so Voldemort can kill him. Right? So, I really like the subtle hints like that, like drinking the Polyjuice potion. We get to see Mad-Eye's perspective of some points, like zooming in his eye. I don't know. I really, really enjoyed that, but I didn't feel as connected to Mad-Eye Moody in the movie as I did in the book, because in the book you really get a sense of friendship between Moody and Harry, because they have conversations, and there's the scene where Harry's coming back from, like, he's with his egg in the middle of the night, and then he gets stuck in, like, this trap stair thing, but he has his invisibility cloak on. Mad-Eye Moody can see through the invisibility cloak, and then, like, Snape's there, and Filch, Mr. Filch, they were all, like, arguing and, like, trying to find things out, you know, and Mad-Eye Moody covered for Harry, and I get now, like, that wasn't Mad-Eye Moody, it was actually Crouch, but there was still a different kind of friendship. Like, Harry felt like he could trust this person, and then at the end it was, like, torn away, like, oh, you're not who I thought you were. I enjoyed that in the book. There was a little bit of that, of course, in the movie, but not as exaggerated. Those are my official thoughts and feelings about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I'm going to start reading Harry Potter and the Phoenix? Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix is the next book in the series, and I'm gonna give you updates. I want to try to give you more updates about the next book than I did about this one, because this book took me a long time to read, guys, like 3 months. The next book is in fact thicker, but I feel like I'm more into reading right now, and I feel like I'm more determined because I'm enjoying it. I'm more motivated to actually read. So, yes, I will see you when I'm reading. So, why does that always happen? Like, there we go. It has been a while since I last talked to you guys, but I have been reading Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I got like some special art print edition of these books, and they're not like some rare, I don't think they're actually like special editions, they're just called art prints because the covers of these books have art, and they're very well drawn. But the back of this book has a picture of Professor Snape, and he actually looks hilarious. Like, this picture of him just encompasses him perfectly. Anyway, so I have been reading this book. I've been reading it on my Kindle for the most part because it's gigantic, and I'm not taking this out in public unless I'm going to sit, like, in my car, which I have not been doing because it's cold. Anyway, according to my Kindle, I'm on page 178, which is 22% in. Let me just kind of think of what the heck is happening in this book right now. Harry Potter, like, all of the books so far, I'm pretty sure, start off with Harry in the, like, it's during summer break, and he's at, what are their names? The Dursleys' house, and he's livid. Like, he does not want to be there. But this year especially, because he's writing to Sirius, Ron, and Hermione, and they're all, like, being kind of sus. Like, they're not sending him letters back. Or when they do, they're super, like, okay, happy birthday, bye. Like, they're not keeping up with the friendship, and he's like, what the heck is going on? How come nobody cares about me? Like, Ron and Hermione, he's like thinking that they're together at Ron's house, like hanging out without him, and he's just like miserable. And then Dementors come to his street, or like his neighborhood, when he's walking around with Dudley, and then so Harry has to like to fight off the Dementors because, like, they're sucking the soul out of his cousin. Like, I'm sorry, even if you don't like your cousin, like, if a Dementor comes to suck the soul out of your cousin, you're gonna try to help him, you know? So that happens, and then he gets, like, these letters saying, like, you're gonna be expelled from Hogwarts because you use magic outside of Hogwarts and you're underage. And then he had to go to court. He won the court case because Dumbledore, like, showed up for him. And then we got to finally see, like, the building where Mr. Weasley works, and, like, Fudge, I think that's his name, Cornelius Fudge. That, I don't remember what it's called. It's like the magic, it's like the government for the magic system, essentially, right? We got to finally, like, see what that's like, and it's a super fancy building, like, the elevators were slow, and then, Malfoy's dad was there and stuff. And so then people came to take Harry, like Mad-Eye Moody and a whole bunch of other people came to the Dursleys' house to take Harry to this hideout that is the hideout for the Order of the Phoenix, which is actually like Sirius's mom's house, his family's house. And then it's kind of like dreary in the house. People are not super happy, and Harry was not looking forward to this court case because he thought he was going to be expelled from Hogwarts, which he wasn't. Thank God, because then what the heck would be happening in the next 600 pages of this book if there was no Hogwarts in the next 2 books. That's pretty much where I'm at right now. Ron and Hermione just became prefects. And Harry's, like, low-key jealous of Ron because he's like, I fight off Dementors. I fight off Voldemort, like, 3 times. Like, you did nothing. He didn't actually say that to Ron, but that's what he's feeling. But Ron and Hermione, I will say, like, I think they're being kind about it. Like, they're not trying to be like, oh, we're prefects. Let me rub it all in your face, you know? They're like, okay, so we have to, like, patrol the train now on our way to Hogwarts, but, like, we're gonna come talk to you when we can. You know? But I'm kind of glad that, like, Hermione deserves it. Hermione needs to be a prefect. Like, who else would you pick in the Gryffindor house to be the female prefect? Exactly. And Ron, I don't know about that, but, like, he's a good option, right? I almost just spoiled something for myself, like, doing this. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. There was something, I don't even remember what it was, but I was actually, like, laughing out loud. And I haven't done that with any of the other books. Like, all 4 of the other books that I've read in this series, like, some parts were funny, but they weren't, like, laugh out loud funny. But I was actually, like, genuinely laughing out loud at this book. Let me try to find it. I just remembered what it was. Okay, so I can't actually find, like, the exact... Sorry, let me just go back to the page I was on. Ron just found out he was a prefect, and, like, George and Percy? No, not Percy. Fred and George. Fred, George, Hermione, Harry were all in there, and then Ron was like, Ron's mom, Mrs. Weasley, came in, and she was like, oh, Ron, it's the whole family now. But Fred and George were not prefects, and he's like, what are we, next door neighbors? And I thought that was hilarious. Like, I was actually laughing out loud, because, like, she just completely forgot about 2 of her sons. Like, they're just not part of the family anymore. I thought that was hilarious. It was so, like, out of pocket, but I loved it. Absolutely hilarious. Is it just me, or... I'm pretty sure in the other books, it was called The Minister of Magic. Minister of Magic. But in this book, it keeps saying Minister for Magic, and that sounds so wrong to me. Now, sometimes I think that, like, I don't know how if it's, like, AI or, like, some sort of something that puts these words into the Kindle. Because, like, I don't think someone's out here typing up the whole book again, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes there are, like, incorrect spellings or, like, double words, mispunctuation, etc. So I'm going to see if it says Minister for Magic in the book. No, it says Minister for Magic. I will say, reading it in the book is, like, a whole different experience than reading it on the Kindle. But, I don't know, Minister for Magic sounds wrong to me, and I feel like it was called the Minister of Magic in the other books. I could be wrong. On Google, it says Ministry of Magic is the government of the British wizarding community in the fictional universe of Harry Potter. Ah, it is led by an official called the Minister for Magic. So the actual guy who leads it, which I'm pretty sure is Cornelius Fudge, is the Minister for Magic, but the Ministry is of Magic. Okay. I'm fine with that. I was just confused why they would change it, but they didn't. I'm going to attempt to read the physical book. little bit about Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. So, once again, I have been reading on my Kindle because of this giant. I am currently on page 324, which is chapter 17, 39% into the book. Now, if you remember, before I started this book, I told you that I wanted to give more updates on this book than I did on the last one, because I feel like I didn't talk enough about what was actually going on in the book and my opinions and everything about the fourth book in the series. But now I'm like almost halfway through this book and I've barely talked to you about it. But I feel like there's nothing to talk about. Because this is such a big book, it's kind of like, it's not romance, but it's a slow burn. You know what I mean? Because, like, whatever the big thing is, the big conundrum that's going to happen, it's going to be, like, within the last probably 30% of this book, which is 800 pages? Something like that. Oh, not 800 pages. It's not 800 pages. Almost 800 pages. I just read the back of this book for the first time and, like, I know what's gonna happen. Like, I don't know what the big thing is, but also, a strange thing, like, reading the other 4 books, you kind of, like, even if I didn't know the basic, like, if I didn't know what was going to happen in this book, you can kind of tell, like, what the big thing is leading up to. Like, you know, like, oh, Voldemort's going to be there. Oh, they're going to have to fight for the Philosopher's Stone. Oh, blah, 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 blah. But this one, like, you kind of don't know what's going to happen. You know? Because, like, the 4th book, I don't remember what the 4th one's called. I almost said Harry Potter and the Lightning Thief, but that's Percy Jackson. And I've never even read that. But you kind of know, like, oh, the big events are going to be each tested in the tournament. And something's going to happen in the last test. Right? But there's no tests in this. There's no... Like, it's the Order of the Phoenix, and we've already met the people in the Order of the Phoenix. We've already talked to them, so it's, like... It's weird. I do like the development of Cho and Harry Potter, because Cho is, like, seeking Harry out. Like, she'll go somewhere to find him and be like, how are you today, Harry? And he's like, oh, I'm fine. That was weird. Like, it's weird that you're coming up to me, but I love you. You know? I do like that. And I just got to an interesting part where Hermione and Ron... Okay. Professor Umbridge is this new teacher for the Defense Against the Dark Arts class. And she was also one of the ladies who worked in the Ministry for Magic. When Harry had to go to court. And so now she is their teacher, and she's a bitch. Like, she keeps giving Harry detention for just, like, speaking his mind and, like, trying to tell her the truth, but she doesn't want to hear it. So she gave him detention, and he has to, like, write lines, and it's, I must not tell lies, but the quill he's using isn't his, and it's, like, it has some sort of spell on it that's, like, carving I must not tell lies into his hand. And he's had to do it for, like, 2 weeks straight now. So, you know, she's nuts and torturing this kid. But she is trying to change the ways of Hogwarts. Like, she does not want Dumbledore to be ruling Hogwarts anymore. She's currently... They gave her, like, at the Ministry for Magic, they gave her some sort of promotion where she can now inspect the other teachers at Hogwarts and pretty much decide if they should still be teaching at Hogwarts. And You know, it's super suspicious. But she, in the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, she isn't letting them use magic. So she's just making them read from a textbook. So they're not actually, like, learning the spells and learning how to do them. So Hermione came up with this idea that was like, oh, Harry, you should teach us Defense Against the Dark Arts, because you literally fought off Voldemort like 3 times in your life. So they kind of decide to meet at this place in Hogsmeade, and a whole bunch of kids show up to talk to Harry and, like, start this club, essentially, for Harry to teach them Defense Against the Dark Arts. And that's where I finished off when I was reading earlier today, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to see where it goes, but I feel like nothing big is happening. That's why I haven't talked to you guys a lot about it, because, like, I really don't have any opinions. Because I feel like the opinions of the people in the story right now are kind of being told to us. Like, Harry, nobody likes Professor Umbridge, okay? We kind of know how Harry's feeling about Cho, so, like, that's how we're feeling about Cho. Same with how Harry's feeling towards Hermione and Ron, because they're trying to, like, get him to do all these things that he doesn't really want to do. So I don't really have any separate opinions. I'm just feeling what the characters are feeling, which isn't a bad thing. But I'm going to try to read from the actual book so I can, like, de-stimulate myself from my phone. We're going to see how that goes. But all I want to do today is sit on my butt. So hey guys, so just ignore my appearance at the moment, but I have been reading a lot, so I need to give an update, but I'm also doing my hair. I'm currently, I think I'm just past 50% of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and I am really, really liking it. So, some big developments that have happened since we last spoke, if I'm correct. I may have already spoke about them. So, Professor Umbridge, the lady we don't like, oh, my dog's in the back. Can you hear her? She was, like, granted this higher position, as we talked about, but, so she was, like, pretty much telling all of the Quidditch teams, like, oh, you need to come to me and I get to decide if you get to be a Quidditch team or not. And then she told, like, the Gryffindors that they couldn't, but then they were playing in a Quidditch game, so I don't know. I may have missed something, like, I don't know, because Umbridge said, like, oh, you're gonna have to wait, like, I'm not making a decision yet. And then all of a sudden they're winning the Quidditch games. So, I missed something, clearly. What else happened, though? Like, I feel like something big happened. Oh! Yeah, okay. So, Harry was like, oh! And then, at the end of the Quidditch game, during the Quidditch game, the Slytherin was, like, singing this stupid song about Ron, because Ron became the new keeper for the Quidditch team, which is, like, a goalie, essentially, if you don't know. And they made, like, this song making fun of Ron. So they were all super annoyed about it, obviously, like everyone on Gryffindor. And then Harry and one of the, like, either Fred or George started beating up one of the Slytherins. I don't know if it was Malfoy or not. But then Umbridge decided to just ban them from playing Quidditch forever. So, instead of giving them detention. So, you know, there's a little bit of unfairness there, obviously. And it's so annoying. Like, I can't wait till she's not in this book anymore. Oh, why won't this won't flatten, guys. I don't know how to do my hair. Whatever. She's annoying, and I do not like her one little bit. And then, anyway, after the game, Harry was having, like, nightmares about something. I don't remember what. And then, it, like, switched, and he was having this vision, and it was, like, different than a dream. Like, he called it a vision instead of a dream, and he was in this perspective of a snake, which is weird because we know he's a Parseltongue, which means he can speak to snakes. He was in the perspective of the snake, and then he saw Mr. Weasley, like Ron's dad, get bitten by the snake, and then he was, like, bleeding out in this place. And then he was freaking out, and everyone was like, "You're crazy, like, this is just a dream." And then it was real. So anyway, Mr. Weasley's fine. He went to the hospital and survived because of Harry, because Harry saw that. Like, if he didn't, he would have bled out to death. So, you know, thank God for Harry. And then, that was crazy, because everyone, like, Sirius and Dumbledore are both, like, being super nonchalant about it, and, like, Harry wants answers, because why the heck is he having these visions that are coming true? Like, it's different from when he's, like, feeling Voldemort's emotions, kind of, like, when he feels pain in his scar because Voldemort's angry. Like, we kind of understand why that makes sense, because the scar is connected to Voldemort, because he gave Harry the scar. And, you know, like, it's been happening throughout the books. But now this is just random. Like, this had, well, we don't know if it had anything to do with Voldemort, but it was just random, and nobody's given any answers. So it's a little bit strange. But I'm really, really liking the book. I'm trying not to say thoroughly enjoying, because that's how I describe everything I've ever read that I liked. Hermione was knitting hats for the house elves and, like, secretly leaving them places in the Gryffindor common room. Like, she would put garbage on top of the hats, so then they would take the hats and then they'd be free, right? But Dobby took all of them because he felt bad, I don't know, or he wanted the hats, but Dobby's already free. Like, he's being paid to work for Dumbledore, which essentially means he's free because he's not a slave. Like, he's not working for no money. So that was funny, but, like, nobody told Hermione about it, so she's still making all these hats. Hermione kind of hasn't been playing any big roles in the movie so far. And also, I really like that Ron is on the Quidditch team, because I didn't see that coming. Because, I don't know why, but I assumed that Ron couldn't fly on a broom. Well, first of all, he never had a broom because they're poor. But I don't know why I assumed, like, he did not have the skills to fly. But he does. But he's very bad under pressure. But I like that he's playing a bigger role in the story now, because I like having Hermione and Ron more as main characters than side characters, because they're so enjoyable to read about. Like, in the first book, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione went into the basement to find the Sorcerer's Stone, and, like, they each had their own tests, kind of, to, like, prove their skills. Like, Ron had chess and Hermione had the potions in the book, not in the movie. Like, they were kind of main characters in that sense, that they had, like, they played a part in Harry getting the did I call it the Sorcerer's Stone? The Philosopher's Stone? It's the same thing, but they haven't been main characters since then. I do find, though, like, as we know, I do not like long chapters. And I know there's nothing I can do about it, and honestly, like, I hate that I keep saying like, if I am in a bookstore and I find a book that seems interesting and then I flip through it and it's long chapters, I will in fact put it away, unless it's a book that I have been wanting for a while, or a book that's like in a series that I'm reading, etc. But this book has such long chapters, at least on the Kindle, because I'm reading it on Kindle, so my font is bigger when I'm reading it at night, so the chapters are longer because the pages are smaller. But I could do with some 10-page chapters right now, but these ones are 30 pages minimum per chapter. And I've been finding that I'll be mid-chapter and put the book down because I'm bored. Because they're not very action-packed. There isn't a lot of action so far in the book. I hope it picks up. But there hasn't been any action, really. Like, even during the Quidditch match, it wasn't like they were doing stuff, but Harry was very focused on the people who were making fun of Ron. Like, he got the snitch, but it wasn't focused on that. The writing wasn't focused on that. I just hope that there's some more action so I can be more immersed into the story, I guess, while I'm reading, and not just when I'm thinking about it, you know? You guys, there have been some major developments in this book, okay? So, 10, I believe it was 10, Death Eaters escaped from Azkaban. I don't actually know if they're all Death Eaters, but like 10 really, really bad people, including Sirius's cousin, something Bellatrix is her name. They escaped. It is 10 Death Eaters. In the, what is the newspaper called? It says that they think the reason, it's actually way back here. The reason, like, they think that Sirius helped these people escape because he is the only known person, or like he's the only person who's ever escaped Azkaban. So, like, they think it was Sirius who did it. And then there's this other really weird thing that's happening that I don't really understand. So, in the Daily Prophet, it says that some guy named Broderick Bode died in the St. Mungo's Hospital, which is where Ron's dad went when he was bit by the snake. And he was killed by like this plant that was, they assumed that it was just a regular house plant, but it was Devil's Snare is the name of the plant. And they met this dude, Broderick Bode. They met him because he was in the same hospital room as someone else that they were seeing. They saw him at the hospital, and now he's dead. And Hermione's like, guys, this is not just some random death because you don't like accidentally give someone Devil's Snare. They're like, they thoughtfully planned out how like they were gonna kill this guy. And then Harry's like, oh yeah, I met him too when I was at the Ministry going to court. And he was working in the Department of Mysteries, which is the place that Ron's dad, Mr. Weasley, was guarding when he got bit by the snake. So Harry, Hermione, and Ron are all kind of like trying to figure out this big mystery because really the whole point, like not the whole point of the book, but a big part of the book is the fact that nobody is telling Ron, Hermione, and Harry anything. Like, they're being super, super suspicious. And so they're trying to figure out this whole mystery on their own. They're like, so what the heck is behind, like, what is in the Department of Mysteries, and why does Voldemort want it? Because they found out that, like, Harry is feeling Voldemort's emotions. So, like, if Voldemort gets super, super happy, like, Harry started laughing, like, super creepily. Or, like, if Voldemort's mad, like, Harry gets angry. Or, like, he just has these, like, spurs of random emotions. So, like, that's how they know that it was Voldemort. But, like, obviously it was Voldemort. I feel like I'm not explaining this very well. Yeah, and then Hermione's, like, sending a letter. She sent a letter to someone, but she wouldn't tell Ron and Harry too, like, who it was to. So then Harry goes on a date with Cho. Harry kissed Cho when it was in one of their secret little meetings, and then he took her to Hogsmeade, and then she started, like, bawling her eyes out because of Cedric, because she dated him and now he's dead. And she was mad because Harry was gonna go meet Hermione somewhere, but, like, Harry don't like Hermione like that. But yeah, a lot of things have happened. I'm on page 520. I'm 63% into the book, so that's pretty good. I'm really enjoying it. I don't have any complaints. I'm so tired of this Umbridge character. She's just annoying, and I haven't seen a purpose for her other than a small conflict, because I don't think that she is the main conflict, like Voldemort's the main conflict, and whatever's going on with this Department of Mysteries, but she's just kind of there on the sidelines being annoying and getting in everyone's way. And if she's not somehow involved in this whole thing, I'm annoyed. Yeah. That's how it's going. I'm going to keep reading today because I have less than 300 pages left. So, like, you know, a whole book still. Anyway. So, I was just thinking that I would love to finish the Harry Potter series this year. Now, it's December 3rd, so that means I would have to finish this book and these two within the next 28 days. Which is very unrealistic for me, because that's a lot. I haven't seen this artwork before, but both of these are beautiful. Like, super, super cool. So, I was just going on my Kindle to see, I wanted to do the math, like how many pages I would have to read to finish all 3 of these books in the next 28 days. And so I downloaded The Half-Blood Prince and The Deathly Hallows, which are the last 2 books in the series, and tell me why it says that Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is 313 pages. No, it's not. It's over 600 pages. I just don't understand, like, because, like, it should be accurate. For instance, so right here it says Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix has 801 pages. Well, okay, so this says 800. Exactly 800. So, like, it's pretty accurate. The one page here is probably, like, some sort of sneak peek or, like, Kindle thing, you know, how it kind of has, like, extra parts. And then I think, oh, whoops, what did I do? No, I'm pretty sure that the Half-Blood Prince, what is happening? I'm pretty sure the Half-Blood Prince is accurate, because it says 655 pages. But this only says 542. So, oh, but now what I'm wondering is if, like, if it's still the same amount of content, you know what I mean? Because technically, the books, like on my Kindle, they should have more pages than the actual books because the font is bigger on my Kindle, but it's not. So I think I'm just going to base my math off of the physical copies. Since I'm already reading this book on the Kindle, I'm going to use this book's, like my Kindle's number. I have exactly 200 pages left. I'm on page 601 and there's 801 pages in the book. So let's just start with 200. 200 pages, and then Half-Blood Prince, without spoiling myself, has 542, 620. So I have 1,362 pages left in the Harry Potter series, and then we're going to divide it by 28. I have to read 49 pages a day. Really? I only have to read 49 pages a day to finish all 3 of these books. Which seems crazy because that's like a chapter and a half. Which is realistic. But when you think about reading 2 books and 200 extra pages, like, they're thick books. But I can read 49 pages a day for the next 28 days. Guys, I'm so excited now because I want to finish the series because I'm enjoying it so much, and I just want to be able to say that I read it all in 2024. So, I know that it's dark in here right now, but we're ignoring that. I was reading when I was out today and lots of stuff happened, so we need to talk about it. So finally their exams, the owls, came up. I think it's owl, I don't know if it's O-W-L or owl, like how you pronounce it, but they came up and like they were doing decent actually, I think, in like Ron, Hermione, and Harry were doing pretty well in the exams. And then during one of the exams, they were like, they noticed, everyone in the class noticed that there were like people walking like across the field to Hagrid's like house. And then there were like loud noises and barking and people were screaming and stuff. And Professor Umbridge kicked out Hagrid. And then Hagrid like picked up oh, did I even tell you guys? Hagrid brought back a giant. And that's why he's been all like scratched up and stuff. Because this giant don't like him. But anyway, he picked up this 16-foot giant and started like beating up all the people. And then one of the people, I think like the people that were with Umbridge was like one of the Slytherins because she has like recruited them. And so they like shot Professor McGonagall with 5 stunning spells. So she was sent off to St. Mungo's Hospital again. Like, not again. She wasn't there before, but also, as all these other people have in this book so far. And that's crazy. Like, and then Hagrid just walked off into the forest. So we don't know where Hagrid's at. And Dumbledore's gone because he kind of like took the blame for the DA when Umbridge found out about it. Because it was Dumbledore's army and not Harry's army. So Dumbledore just like poofed himself away and nobody knows where he's at. And there was someone else. Like, Harry can't talk to anyone else because now also Professor McGonagall's gone. And so during one of his exams, Harry like fell asleep and had one of his dreams again. about the Department of Mysteries, but he finally got through the last door, and then he was Voldemort again, and he was torturing Sirius, and like Sirius was laying on the ground like pleading for his life, and like full of blood and everything. And then Voldemort was like, "Don't worry, you'll be dead by the end of this." So Harry's freaking out because the last time he saw something like that, like when Ron's dad was bit by the snake, it was real. So he's like telling Ron and Hermione, like, we need to go to the Department of Mysteries now because Sirius is about to die. And Hermione's like, "Harry, this is a dream. Like, it's the middle of the day. How would Voldemort and Sirius, the two most wanted people in the wizarding world, like, get into the Ministry for Magic when it's heavily guarded by Aurors and, like, it's the middle of the day?" And he's like, "I don't know how they did it, but they did." And then Hermione's like, "Okay, we're not going until we find out that Sirius isn't at home, like, isn't at Grimmauld Place." So they, like, use the Floo powder to go, like, with Harry's face in the fire. You know how they do that? In Umbridge's fire in her room because she, like, did some sort of spell that you can't use fire for communication in any of the rooms in the whole school except for her office. So they, like, created a distraction, and then the only person that was in the place, like in Grimmauld Place, I think that's what it's called, was Kreacher, the house elf. So that's crazy. And Kreacher was like, "Oh yeah, Master went off. Like, he never tells me where he goes." And nobody else is there either. So Harry's freaking out, and then all of a sudden he gets, like, hit on the head, and Umbridge found him. And that's where I left off. Like, I literally just stopped in the middle of a chapter, which is crazy. That's crazy. Because what is Umbridge gonna do? And how are they gonna save Sirius? Because honestly, like, it's probably real. Because this is Harry Potter, you know? But how I don't even know what's gonna happen. I'm very, very intrigued, and we have like 120 pages left. It's crazy. This book is crazy. Let's talk about Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. So, I honestly do not have a rating for this book because I did really enjoy it, and there isn't really anything in the book that I can think of that's like, I did not like that. But it's not a 5-star book, you know what I mean? Because I don't have that feeling, like the giddy feeling, or like feeling like the writing was very good, or like there was any great intelligence or anything in the writing. Which isn't to say that the writing was bad, because it's still good writing, but it's a fantasy book. But I do have lots of things to say about the movie. If I were to not compare the movie to the book, I would probably rate it about a 3.5. Okay, the movie, 3.5. But comparing it to the book, it's like a 2.5. Now let me tell you why. There are about 4,000 reasons. They missed so many important topics and events in the book, or in the movie, that happened in the book. For instance, in the book, Aunt Petunia gets a howler from Dumbledore saying, like, "Remember what I told you," or whatever. And then at the end of the book, we find out that when Harry's mom died, he lived because of her magic. Like, she used the last of her magic to save him, essentially. And she put, like, this spell kind of on him. She put this spell on him that, like, protected him from Voldemort as long as he was in this house. Like, in their family house, kind of. So, as long as he is in, like, as long as he goes to the Dursleys' house once a year, he should be protected by his mother's magic. We did not talk about any of that in the movie at all. There was no Howler sent to Aunt Petunia. Not Dudley. Dumbledore and Harry never had this, like, super deep conversation about, like, his whole life story or anything like that. I just did not like this movie, you guys. Then, there's also, like, throughout the book, these small things keep happening to Harry that kind of just further, like, amplify his anger and his sadness. Because there's a whole thing with, like, Cho, and she's, like, the biggest crybaby ever, and, you know, relationship problems and things like that. And then there's, like, at the beginning, he's trying to get a hold of, like, Hermione and Ron and Sirius, and they're all, like, sending him weird letters, and they're not really talking to him. So he's, like, thinking his friends don't like him. Like, why are nobody's talking to me? Like, you're all I have, and you're not talking to me. And then Harry and Fred and George get their wands, no, not their wands, sorry, their broomsticks taken away, and what is her name? Professor Umbridge gives them a lifelong ban to play Quidditch. And, like, that is miserable for Harry. None of these things happen in the movie. Now, I know that I'm usually the one that's like, oh, I need more comedic relief, blah, 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 blah. But this book, like, it still kind of had comedic relief because Fred and George were still, like, doing all their funny things. And they were still, like, it didn't seem as gloomy as the third book, for instance. But I really was missing out on that because it made the rest of the movie, it was just like, felt like there was nothing to fight for. You know, like, Harry was feeling such misery in this book, and then he finally, like, got the answers. But he kind of already had the answers in the movie, so it was just kind of felt pointless. And there were just so many things that were wrong. Like, he barely ever talks to Cho in the movie. They did not have the whole, like, when they went to Hogsmeade together and, like, she bawled her eyes out because of Cedric. Like, that did not happen in the movie at all. He talked to Cho, like, once, maybe. And, like, there was no Quidditch at all in the movie. Throughout the book, Harry was feeling angry towards Dumbledore because during his hearing, Dumbledore didn't even look at him, didn't talk to him. Throughout the school year, Dumbledore would not talk to him, wouldn't make eye contact with him if they were in the same room. And then finally, at the end of the book, they, like, had this heart-to-heart conversation about Harry's true prophecy and everything, like, saying that either him or Voldemort has to die before the other one can live, essentially, and, like, be happy or whatever. That combo just, like, I'm pretty sure that it happened. I'm not even remembering it 100%. But it just didn't have the same effect because in that conversation in the book, Dumbledore told Harry the prophecy. His prophecy. But in the movie, Harry already knew his prophecy. Like, he picked up the prophecy in the Department of Mysteries and, like, listened to it. So, hi guys. So, I was talking earlier about the Order of the Phoenix movie and book. but my camera battery died and then I had to go to work. So I'm going to now talk about some things that I liked about both the book and the movie. So I honestly really enjoyed this book, but I do think that it's my least favorite book out of the 5 that I've read so far, just because it was very irritating, and honestly most of the book felt very pointless because there was no action until like this much into the book. Like, why did we need these 600 pages? And I understand that it's for the plot, right? It's for the story. And I did enjoy those 600 pages, but they didn't feel super necessary. What I mean by that is, like, Harry wasn't getting these, like, his dream about Ron's dad getting bit by the snake. He wasn't, like, in Voldemort's perspective until later on in the book. He wasn't trying to save anyone. There was no adventure. There was no action. And I get that maybe that's kind of the point of the book, because it kind of led up to the end, right? Like, throughout the book we're kind of like, oh, Harry's kind of having these weird dreams about the Department of Mysteries, but he can't open the door, right? And then eventually he does open the door, and then he's like, we need to go to the Department of Mysteries now. And then, you know, the whole thing happens where he has the prophecy and all of the Death Eaters that escaped. I literally just told you that I was going to talk about the good things that I liked about this book. So let me just pause. Things that I liked about this book. I really did enjoy seeing Harry and Cho's relationship advance. I'm not going to say grow, because honestly by the end of this book it's back to square one. Like, Harry is no longer even interested in Cho because he realizes, like, she's super emotional and he doesn't understand her because she doesn't know how to communicate properly, etc. But I did like the drama. I think it was very interesting. Also in the book, Hermione was knitting hats and socks for the house elves in Hogwarts. And she was leaving them around, but she was, like, putting garbage on top of them so that they would pick them up, because if a house elf picks up clothing from their master, then they're freed. And she wants to free all of them, even though they don't want to be freed. And then Dobby had all of them. He was wearing all of the hats, and I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Now, I apologize if you can hear my washing machine right now. In the previous movie, in the book 4, we don't see any house elves. There are no house elves whatsoever. So that whole thing of Hermione trying to free all of the house elves is not a thing. So that also doesn't happen in the movie. It didn't feel very needed, though. I really like the connection between Harry and Sirius, because you really get, like, how much he needs and cares for Sirius, because he's the only family he has left. And then he dies at the end. Now, I do think, this is my prediction, I do think that there's a chance that Sirius may, like, come back to life, or that he never actually died, because he fell into that, like, portal thing, but in the movie, like, in the book, it sounds like he died, but when you see it in the movie, it's like, he could not be dead, you know? Like, there's a chance he's coming out of that little portal thing, because Harry and Luna Lovegood heard voices behind it before. So, you know. I really enjoyed the fact that Snape was teaching Harry occlumency, which is like, defense against brainwash, essentially, like, so that Harry couldn't have all these visions from Voldemort and stuff like that, because, you know, it was pretty much driving him crazy. I absolutely loved that Ron was on the Quidditch team, because so far in these books, Ron has seemed just like dumb and honestly kind of useless, because he didn't have any special skills. He wasn't super funny. He was just kind of like Harry's buddy, you know? He didn't offer very much support most of the time. He was dumb. And now he's on the Quidditch team. Now, he may not be very good, but at least he's got something going for him. Kind of, right? I liked that a lot. So those are some of the things that I enjoyed about the book. I think I'm going to settle on a 4-star because I did really enjoy the plot. I think that it was so interesting finding out why Harry and Voldemort are really this attached. Like, we get that this scar is from Voldemort, but we don't really understand why that is causing Harry to be having these visions from Voldemort's perspective. But now we know in the prophecy that, like, they're connected through this prophecy that was made when, I think it was made when Harry was born. I just remembered something crazy. So this prophecy was made before Harry was born, and then it says, like, one of them must die before the other can live, right? But then in the book, Dumbledore is talking to Harry, and he's like, so this could have been about you, but it also could have been about Neville Longbottom, guys, because it was like a boy born at the end of June in this year who both of his parents have been, like, tortured or killed or something by Voldemort and something else. And that also applies to Neville, which is absolutely crazy and, like, really puts into perspective how much Neville has been through. Absolutely crazy. Also, you know what I just realized? In the movie, like in the book, Professor McGonagall gets sent to the hospital because the Inquisitorial Squad or whatever, like, stunned her 5 times. That never even happened in the movie. Also, this part I did not enjoy about the movie. In the book, all of the kids, like, when Harry had this vision of Ron's dad being bit by this snake, everyone went to St. Mungo's Hospital to see him. That just didn't happen. They didn't see the old professor. I don't remember his name at the moment. The one with the blonde hair thinks he's kind of full of himself, you know? And, yeah, like, they never saw him. They never saw Neville with his parents in the hospital and stuff like that. Like, I think they missed out on so much in the movie. I'm going to rate the movie 2.5. But now, like, when I say that, I don't know if I should, because I don't know if I should rate the movie for what the movie is or rate it compared to the book. Because I don't know. For all of the other books, the movies were pretty much the same. Like, they were missing some small details and stuff. But for this one, the movie was missing so much. So many details, so much of the plot, so much of the action. Even some of the characters that were in this book are not in the movie. And I just don't know. I don't know. I think I'm going to settle with a 2.5, though, for the movie, and 4 for the book. This is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching and coming on my Harry Potter journey with me. To give a little recap, I read and watched Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I rated the book 4.75 and the movie No, I didn't. I rated the book 4 stars and the movie 3.5 stars. Overall, pretty good ratings. Then I read and watched Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I rated the book 4 stars and the movie 2.5 stars. Do with that what you will. Please stick around to watch me finish the rest of the Harry Potter series. We only have 2 books left, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Bye!